Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. How are you all doing today? My name is Alyssa Nicoll. You can find me on the Twitters at Alyssa Nicoll. I am the Angular developer advocate for Kendo UI at Progress, and that is, in short, Kendo UI is a component library that's built for Angular from the ground up. So check it out if you haven't heard of us. I also enjoy gaming with my friends. I love Destiny. I'm super excited about the upcoming Beyond Light raid that I'm trying to level for. So really excited about that. I'm also, as you probably could have guessed, into speaking and programming. And when the COVID isn't happening, diving, traveling the world. And my latest adventure, Mr. Milks, this is a shot of him when he was 7 months old. He is now 19 months old, right? And he is still my flipping little bundle of joy, who makes it just that much more amazing to be alive. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. Welcome to this talk. We're not here to talk about bundles of joy, though. We're actually here to talk about the opposite, which is dark patterns in UX, what not to do to your users. So dark patterns, for those of you who have never even heard of that term before, it's about 10 years old. Harry Brignall coined the phrase in 2010. And to give it a firm definition, dark patterns are patterns in UX that are meant to trick or manipulate users into actions they would not otherwise do, right? They're what they sound like. They're design patterns, but instead of trying to help a user towards their goal, they manipulate them or trick them in some way. And the key part is towards an action they probably would not otherwise do. So if you understand usability, you can easily trick a user into doing something they probably don't want to do. It goes without saying that we should not trick users with UI or UX knowledge. It breeds distrust in not only your website or mobile app, but in the web in general. I'm going to start us off with an example. Most of us probably know about Amazon Prime. Maybe you've used it or time of two, based on the stack of Amazon boxes by my front door that I need to go recycle, probably more than a time or two. But yes, lots of Amazon fans. I am an Amazon fan. So this is an example of a dark pattern, but it is not to say that I don't use Amazon. So if you have used Amazon before, then you would have gone through this sign up process, which is these 4 inputs, right? Your name, your email, a password, and verify the password. And then the create account button. And that's it. I mean, you do have to verify the email, but this is all that's required to create an account. And then you're in, right? It was super painless, very easy. You have an Amazon account now, you can get started. However, have you ever thought about deleting your Amazon account? So this is where the dark pattern comes in and where it gets tricky. So where might you think to look on this page to go and delete your account? Like your first instinct. I've asked this question many times. Usually the audience shouts out account and lists, right? And you click on that and you have this drop down of all of your account links that you could possibly go to. And the widely accepted answer is that you should click on your account to delete your account. You go into it, there should be some sort of delete method, right? Well, once you click on your account, you are brought to another page with a lot of links. And don't you just know that out of every single link on this account page, not one of them will assist you in deleting your account. It was very interesting. It's a lot of links. So where do you go? What do you do next? Well, if you keep scrolling all the way down to the very, very bottom, on every single page, you should be able to see this footer that has a help link in it. If you click on the help link, and then at this point, you click into account settings and payment. Oh man, we're not even there yet. At that point, you'll be given another sublink underneath all of the account settings links, one that says more in account settings and payments, which you would have no idea to look here. I guess if you had no other way, you could Google how to find it. But once you navigate into the more account settings, you'll find an about closing your account link. So we don't have an actual delete account button because that would be way too easy. You get to go and read all of this detail about what closing your account means. And at the very bottom, there is a link that says contact us to request that your account be closed. So not only is there not a button once we finally found our way to this page, but there actually isn't a way to do it. There's only a way to contact them about talking about doing it, right? So you can probably see where I'm going. At this point, you can either do a chat or have a phone call to talk about deleting your account. But again, it was 1 click to create that account, maybe 2 if you count verifying the email, and around 8 clicks just to get you to the point of a chat or a phone call to discuss deleting it, right? You're not even there yet. I've had some friends who told me that the process at this point can be easy or it can be really painful depending on what route you take. But either way, at this point, we have clearly defined a dark pattern called the Roach Motel. It is a situation that is easy to get into, but difficult to get out of, right? So I thought this would be a really fun example and a really maybe well-known example. Like everyone uses Amazon or has heard of Amazon, just to kind of get us thinking about what are dark patterns. And so what can we do? What are we left with, right? The goal of this talk is not to rant. If you Google dark patterns, you're going to find a lot of rants online about different UI and UX issues and things that may or may not be qualified as a dark pattern. That's not why I'm here today. Today, I'm here to create awareness of what true dark patterns actually are, and that some companies are actually using them maliciously. And so my goal is to create awareness, and hopefully together we can shame companies out of using these dark patterns to manipulate users. There are 2 websites that I would like to point you to. The first one is darkpatterns.uxp2.com, and the second one is darkpatterns.org. If you're looking for some more information about dark patterns, check these 2 out. And you can also actually add examples of your own on both of these sites, which can be really useful because if we can report dark patterns that we're finding that are being used in a malicious way, then hopefully we can create more awareness and stop it from being used. So, as with many things in life, these patterns aren't black and white, but rather it's a sliding scale. And it's important to keep that in mind. Again, as I mentioned, if you go looking for further examples online of dark patterns, you're bound to run into many dark patterns that aren't necessarily nefarious, and they might not actually be dark patterns. I know some people like to use this term when they're ranting about a UI issue, and that's not really what dark patterns are. So just be aware that you're going to find just a wide scale of things out there. And so I'm using my own scale of hashtag not really, or annoying, or truly bad dark patterns. And I'm going to classify quite a few examples today of dark patterns and put them under one of these categories and talk about them further. So first one up is the hashtag not really dark pattern. So this example, this is the first dark pattern that I want to talk about, is barely on the scale of dark patterns. This pattern goes further than ads. It's really about hit targets. So here we have an ad on the side of the screen that takes up quite a large amount of space. It's a large pop-up with a very tiny, I don't even know if you can see it, X button. So the user is more likely to click on the ad accidentally while they're trying to close it out. So the dark pattern here, it's more about hit targets. If you're using a tiny hit target to cause someone to click on something by accident, something that they didn't intend to, well, that's a dark pattern, right? That's no bueno. So again, the purpose of this session is twofold. And I don't just want to be ranting. I also want to bring awareness and bring to light some kind patterns. And so here is one on the flip side with hit targets that I thought was really beautiful and I wanted to share with you. When I had my little one 18 months ago, I started breastfeeding, and I recently ran into this pattern and was like, this is absolutely brilliant. It's so beautiful. I'm calling them kind patterns. And I was using the app called Huckleberry to time feeding so that you could be consistent and also get data on how things were going. So something that I don't think about often enough is accessibility. And I am actually certifiably blind without my glasses or contacts that I wear. And that just means I can't legally drive without them. So something that I don't think about often enough is this accessibility. So this is a shot of my glasses and the side view of them. So you can see how how thick they are. I'm quite at a loss with the eyesight. So when I was feeding my son at night, holding this, no matter, I had to get pretty close for it to clear up, but this would turn into this, and that's what I would see. But because their hit targets were so large and their contrast was so great, I was still able to use their app at 3 a.m. in the morning with sleepy mom brain, with no glasses or contacts in, right? I was still able to use it and start and stop the timers. I just want to bring awareness at this moment to be kind with your hit targets, to be conscious of the size. Apple's suggested minimum hit target is 44 by 44 pixels. Android's is 48 by 48 dp. dp is the resolution when you only factor in the physical size of the screen. So be kind with your hit targets and also mind the gap, right? It can be useful to make your hit targets larger, but also they need to be far enough apart so that you're not fat fingering or actually accidentally hitting buttons or icons that you're not intending to. So, especially on mobile. So mind the gap. But back to not really dark patterns. I have one more that I want to show you. And this one, it might take a minute to settle in. So I'm just going to leave this image with you for a second so you can kind of, what am I seeing? And then I'll explain it. So this is a dropdown, and let's think through using this dropdown. You're supposed to rate a colleague in this dropdown, or maybe your employer, or whatever the rating is that you're doing. But in this dropdown, they have typed out one, O-N-E, so that if a user is trying to go through quickly on a form and hit one enter, and just give everything the lowest score, or even if they're just trying to give this one input the lowest score, when they hit one enter, because one is spelled out O-N-E, it's actually going to select the 10, the highest rating. And unless they were, being conscious of that and seeing, oh, wow, they spelled out one, then they would give it a 10 instead of a 1. So that's a really manipulative drop-down list and a dark pattern. This right here is a perfect example of using the way we know UI works and how people use apps or how people use websites to manipulate what's happening. Perfect example. And so this is still on the low end though, right? This is for me, from things that I've seen out in the wild. This is bad, but there's a way around it, right? You can still manually select 10. So let's move on up, crank it up a notch, and step into just plain annoying dark patterns. This one has tricky wording with a difficult unsubscribe. So it's actually a twofer, a bonus round. So the tricky wording, let's zoom in on that. You're about to remove blank Gmail from receiving emails. And then it says change your mind, uncheck the boxes below to stay subscribed to in the smallest text on the screen, right? And then you have those two resorts and then the submit button. If I was just skimming this, my initial instinct would be to uncheck those and hit submit, which would then resubscribe me to those mailing lists. So it's tricky wording on making the whole process a difficult unsubscribe. So boo. Boo. Confirm shaming is another just plain old annoying dark pattern. It's the act of making the user click on something derogative in order to opt out. What do I mean by this? Well, a long time ago, a few years now, Cosmopolitan had this example. Want to stay on top of all your stuff that you care about? Sign up now. The two options are I'm boring or obviously, right? So in order to opt out of that sign up, you would have to click on the derogative I'm boring text. And so it's kind of this reverse psychology, but I don't know if it would actually work. I feel like you're more just insulting your users. But I know your audience, right? Know your audience. Another example of confirmed shaming, this one. Do you want to be notified when some of your favorite products go on sale? Heck yeah, or nope, I'm rich, right? So confirmed shaming. I see it all the time, some various degrees of it. This one is just annoying because sometimes I'm okay with it and I laugh and I'm like, whatever, that's funny. Sometimes I'm like, okay, really? Like, so you have to know your audience and whether or not they'd be okay with something like this. But I think most of the time, it's just kind of insulting. Sneaky subscribes, an annoying dark pattern. So an example of a sneaky subscribe would be, say, clicking, you're going through and you're signing up, and at the very bottom, already pre-filled of this sign up form is this input, please send me all the email in the world every 5 hours, 5 days a week. Thank you. Right? Like, this isn't a real one. Obviously I made that one up, but you've all been there where there's a sign up form and at the bottom, something that's checked that's auto enrolling you. So that's just kind of an annoying one, but not the worst that I've seen in the world. Nagging. Redirection of expected functionality that persists beyond one or more interactions is how that UXP2 site explains it, which of course is the site that I pointed you to at the beginning, and I'll show it again at the end. But as it sounds, nagging is a bothersome UX pattern, generally in the form of persistent pop-ups, like a pop-up that keeps notifying you, and there's no way to actually turn it off. All you can say is not now, right? So please turn on notifications. Okay. Not now. So there's actually quite a few examples of this one. This was a real estate one, and then I actually had this one on YouTube as well, which it kept coming back. even if I said skip trial, this one kept coming back, and so skip trial was not real. But yes, an alternative to nagging, I wanted to point out Justin Mezzle, an old friend and designer. Follow him on the Twitters; he's the best. He had this funny joke a while back. Instead of try in an hour, try tonight, remind me tomorrow, please just let me live my life. It was so funny. But in all seriousness, offer your users a way out. Truly bad dark patterns. Lastly, I want to touch on an example that I would consider the worst of the worst. So a hidden unsubscribe, right? We've all seen difficult to use unsubscribes, really light text, the contrast is really bad, or really small text, or maybe it's not even underlined, so it doesn't look like a link, so you can't find the unsubscribe. But legally, you must provide a way for the user to unsubscribe. But check out this email that it was a while back, but everything in this link is underlined except for the unsubscribe. Right. So like the aerlingus.com and their email, like those things are both underlined, but then the unsubscribe itself isn't underlined. Okay. Underlining links is like a universal pattern. Everyone understands if this text is underlined, that's a clickable link that will take me somewhere to do something. Underlining all of your links except for one in the footer of your email so that people can't find your unsubscribe is a dark pattern. Now, while this isn't a great UI practice, it's not as bad as this one. And this is my truly bad winner of the day dark pattern: hidden unsubscribe. Don't want to receive email notifications? And there it is. If you highlight the text, this was a screenshot of it, and the bottom one is a screenshot of me highlighting the text. The unsubscribe is completely invisible. It is white on white, white text on white background. In my naive world of unicorns and sparkles, I always wanted to believe that most misdirection with UI was just a mistake on the designer or the developer's part. Anytime I saw something that was difficult to use, that didn't make sense, that would cause a trap of some sort, I always thought, this is not intentional. But when I see something like this, I can't help but be convinced that dark patterns are not only real, but they're used deliberately by companies for their own gain. So an alternative, honest value. I think this one is a really cool example, web design trends, where they are asking for your email address. And they're being honest about what they're going to do with that. Like, we're signing you up for this email list. But in return, they're giving you like this ebook, right? And if you're wondering, unsubscribing from their email list is straightforward and easy. So I really, we're out of time today, but I just wanted to leave you with this note of be kind with your UI and UX knowledge. Be thoughtful about it. And let's spread awareness and share any dark patterns that we find or see out there in hope that we can make the web a better place. But yeah, thank you so much for your time. Please send me any questions. My DM is always open on Twitter. I would love to talk with you about this, about Kendo UI, about CSS, about Angular. Really, I am an open book. So reach out to me and we'll have a good old chat. But yes, have a wonderful day and thank you so much for your time. Mwah.